name. This morning we will examine the state of Nigeria's economy, an economy showing signs of growth, yet weighed down by stubborn inflation and rising cost of living pressures. Recent official data show that Nigeria's economy continues to expand, with GDP growth hovering around 3 to 4%, driven largely by the services sector, agriculture, and a gradual recovery in oil production. On the surface, this suggests resilience and a slow but steady recovery. However, that growth tells only part of the story. Inflation remains the economic's biggest challenge. Headline inflation has stayed in double digits, rising above 20% at several points, while food inflation has climbed even higher, placing severe strain on households, businesses, and purchasing power across the country. Key reforms, including fuel subsidy removal and foreign exchange adjustments, have reshaped the economy landscape. While these policies are aimed at long-term stability, they have also triggered short-term shocks, pushing up transportation costs, food prices, and basic living expenses. So, as Nigeria records economic growth, the critical question remains: why does hardship persist? Can growth outpace population increase and unemployment? Will inflation ease in the months ahead? And what does the economic outlook truly hold for ordinary Nigerians? These are the issues we will unpack as we take a closer look at growth, inflation, and the outlook of Nigeria's economy. My guests are already here. We'll take a break now. When we'll come back, we'll hit the ground running. Please, do stay with us. Welcome back. If I just joining us, the program is Business Today, and today we're taking a look at the state of the Nigerian economy, growth, inflation, and outlook. And to do justice to it, I have Mr. Isaac Olushina Monehi, an economist, a former executive director, Energy Bank, Ghana, former special assistant to the governor on public-private partnership, and also a policy analyst and public affairs commentator. It's a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Hello, good morning.
It's been a long time.
Yes, really, quite a long time. Good morning, viewers out there, and Happy New Year. And to our able governor who celebrated his 61st anniversary some 2 days ago, once again I say hearty congratulations.
Thanks so much for that. Let's go straight to the business. How would you assess the economy last year?
Last year? Yes, I think to start we need to know where we are coming from. And when I say where we are coming from, the economy that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu inherited in 2023, know where we are, and I think that's why you stop down, so that I don't go to where we should be headed. I think again we shall later address that. Later get there. President Bola, let me even start from saying, what kind of economy are we talking about when we talk of Nigeria? Nigeria has a GDP of about $2,950 billion, has a population of about 240 million, per capita income of hovering between $800 and $110, faced with multidimensional poverty. Most Nigerians, about 62% of Nigerians, live below $3 per day. We have serious distortions in the economy. I mean, the general characteristics of the economy now: oil revenue, it takes a major chunk of our revenue. Declining contribution from agri and other sectors. Though I heard in your remark, yes, services, some sectors are
agriculture.
They are coming up gradually. Well, we have inflation, like you have said, unemployment, underemployment, mind-boggling corruption, and institutional deficiencies. You don't have strong institutions. And of course, these are the characteristics. But coming to the economy that our dear president inherited, he inherited a comatose economy that was clinically dead. Thank God for his intervention right from the one. Otherwise, we wouldn't be where we are now. And that is one thing when people make remarks that they fail to imagine that what kind of economy will have been in now. You know, don't forget, it's like people try to, they forget in a hurry, that when Bola Ahmed Tinubu, our president, when he took over, states were finding it difficult to pay salaries. Aside of that, total loss of confidence in the Nigerian economy. Foreign reserves was at its lowest ebb. The aviation sector was almost dead. Some airlines refused to come to Nigeria again. You know, debt service ratio was as high as 97%. When a man gets 100 naira and you are using 97 naira to pay debt, you are left with 3 naira. You can imagine. Let's break it down so that people can understand the kind of economy he inherited. Inflation, of course, inflation was already high. Fine. He took measures to stabilize the economy by doing away with unaffordable fuel subsidy that was dropping as much as 4 trillion naira. 4 trillion naira. And when people said he took away fuel subsidy, even the budget he inherited had no provision again for fuel subsidy. And of course, the shenanigans, the rubbish that was that characterized the foreign exchange market that time, multiple foreign exchange. So states have been enjoying more money ever since that time. And I know that it's okay, probably not all of them are implementing it, but at least he did his best in increasing the minimum wage, and some states too even surpassed what the federal government put in place, and a lot of other policies, like policies in the fiscal sector. Talking of last year, for example, you have the ongoing banking consolidation now. That's a banking recapitalization rather, which will further attract greater foreign investments and will lead to a boost in NGX activities in the NGX. And as you know, our capital market is one of the best in best in Africa in terms of returns, and is expected to grow by over almost 150%. Talking of outlook now, which that's what
Since you started your analysis before 2025, year-on-year performance, how would you rate 2025 compared to 2024?
There was an expansion in the economy. The economy grew by about 3%, and of course, in terms of that's GDP growth now, and in terms of government or revenue, it increased. 2024 to 2025, there was a decrease in inflation. Although it's still very high. And again, let me quickly say that because of the rebasement that happens, and what I mean by rebasement is using a different base year. So really, when you are trying to compare apple to pineapple, apple to orange, they are not the same thing. But we are all witnesses, at least. A bag of rice in 2024 was about $100 per, 100 naira per, 100,000 naira per bag. As at last December, you could almost buy 2 bags of rice with that same amount. Still very high, but at least. We're actually witnessing a reduction in food inflation. We're actually witnessing a reduction in food inflation. Now, thank God to increase domestic refining capacity. Thank God for Dangote, and fuel prices has reduced. 2024, a liter of oil, a liter of PMS was selling for maybe around a thousand naira.
Yes.
1,000 naira. But this last December, it was around 800. In fact, in some places, around 780 something naira. So all those things are coming down gradually. If you are talking of where we were in 2024 and where we were in 2025, oil production increased, slightly. Oil production increased slightly, and of course we saw improvement in the foreign exchange rate. I remember at the time it was as high as close to 1,008. Even it was very close to 2,000 at the time to $1. But we closed December with around maybe 1,450 and 1,430 to 1,450. So these are just, I'm talking of debt service ratio. Debt service ratio has come down, although you want to see that, well, a slight increase in our national debt by about 1 or 2%, fine. But it's understandable because, I mean, we have a lot of infrastructural challenges and the government needs to borrow. So, a lot of improvements are taking place.
But despite all of this, we also have inflation that remained a dominant issue throughout year 2025. What were the main drivers
of inflation? The main driver, like I said, the pump price of fuel is still high. You see, most of the food items, produced in the rural areas, they need to get to the urban centers, for where the effective demand is, where people will consume these things, and the cost of transportation. Because I took time to even interview market women, and they will tell you that, look, cost of transportation is what is killing us. So, like I said, thank God for Dangote, that is helping us to bring that price down gradually, and we pray that it should continue until you have 500 per liter. You cannot have that massive, the kind of figure that people are really expecting. Inflation rate should be under 2 digits.
I ask you that because,
and again,
despite the growth that we also witnessed in the economy at the last quarter of last year,
yes,
we also have issues with food prices.
Yes.
Food prices were also on the high side.
Yes.
What would you say was responsible for this?
The food price that you are talking of last year, December?
I mean
last quarter
of the year.
Last quarter of the year. I think I've just addressed that. I said, look, before that time it was higher than that. So you have to take cognizance of where you are coming from before getting to that stage. Some policy measures took place, some reforms took place. All we need to do is to further consolidate on those reforms. So if an item of fuel pump price, and again the foreign exchange rate has to go down. Those two things are major drivers. And aside of that, when you talk of food inflation, until we effectively curb the case of insecurity in the food producing states, a lot of people they moved out of their abode due to one form of insecurity, banditry, middle belts, which used to be the food basket of the nation. A lot of killings happened in Benue, Plateau, the middle belt generally.
So by and large, the economy actually grew last year by your analysis.
The economy grew, but consolidate on those policies. One, ensure that
we'll come to that consolidation.
Is okay.
Yeah, but let's look at the industrialization, the manufacturing sector. Could that also be said of these two important subsectors of the economy?
You see, each of those sectors are already undergoing one form of reform.
Take a look at the power supply in the country.
They are going through one form of reform or the other. When we talk of insecurity, we talk of even food insecurity, we talk of energy security for government to guarantee that. So, no, there are reforms going on in the mining area, in industry, let's talk of manufacturing, in the other sectors of the economy simultaneously. That what all this needs now is a case of coordination and consolidation, and that is why when we are going to address it later, that we see a better outlook for 2026.
Oh, let's go to 2026 now for the outlook. What's your outlook for the year?
It promised to be a better year, but of course with what I will describe as cautious optimism. Cautious optimism, I mean, because in economics we talk of our statements are characterized with if all things being equal, all things being equal, ceteris paribus. So cautious optimism. Look at the budget. The budget, I mean, which is the basic plan for government expenditures and receipts, over a period of time. We're talking of 1 year now. The budget of this year is higher than that of last year, at 58 trillion naira. Is over that of last year. Government, the only thing is government revenue is just about 34 trillion. I know we have a debt of about 25 trillion rather. Trillion. I can't collect the accurate figures now, but what I'm saying is that a big chunk of the budget has to be financed through debt, so that we will not borrow. There's just no way the government will still borrow. Capital expenditure, a good thing, forms about 26 trillion out of that, and which is higher than that of a current expenditure of about maybe 15 trillion or thereabout, 15.52. Is good, but when you talk of debt service ratio, capital debt servicing of 15.52 trillion, that's huge. So, like I opined earlier on, that a slight increase in our national debt. So, but you look at why I said cautious optimism is that when you look at the benchmark, the assumptions underlying or underpinning the budget, the government predicated the 2026 budget on oil production of about 1.86 barrels per day. Well, that's okay. For me, it's okay. It's not too bad if and only if you have increased investment in the oil sector, and you have greater surveillance on our oil installations, and there is peace in the Niger Delta. I've given you three factors now that can guarantee that. Yes, no problem. But I have problem with the oil price of about $64.8 dollars per barrel. With what is happening in the last few days of U.S., I will call invading Venezuela. Venezuela has the largest oil,
deposits.
And Trump has come out to tell us that he's going to manage their oil for them. And he has called on the oil barons in the U.S. that they should start getting ready to make investments in Venezuela. Although we don't know whether the Venezuela people will, how they are going to take that. But his current talks with the opposition there, if that one should happen, there will be massive, there will be increase in the world oil supply, which will cause a fall in the price of oil, global oil. And that will not, although our oil is of a special type, the crude, the sweet, they call it the sweet one, but then it will still affect the price. And
it will affect the price.
Will not make, it may, let me be let me be wary of the language I use, it may make that target of 64 or almost $65 per barrel to be unattainable. And as long as it is unattainable, then you are saying that your budget may not be realizable. You need revenue, you need money. You need the money. So,
but
except there are other positive developments in other areas that will account for that, except for that.
Well, the funniest part of it is that even if at the international market, if the oil price is also coming down, government has also made us know that that is when the pump price at the filling station, that's why the price also come down.
Yes, it's like what you are losing in one hand, we gain in the other hand. Fine. If it comes down, that means the fuel price will come down. That's PMS price in Nigeria.
Exactly. And that will be also more beneficial to the masses.
Will be more beneficial to the masses. So it's like where that trade-off will be now between that and that of revenue for government.
As a professional, what single policy do you think will also make the difference this year?
There can't be a single policy. It can't be a single policy. It's going to be a combination of policies. Combination of policies. Now, we talk of combination of both fiscal and monetary policies. And aside of that, even on the part of the people to give government the trust and the support that government needs. I will explain each and every one of it. Monetary policy, we're talking of ongoing bank recapitalization and what it will do. I've just told you what it will do to the capital market. It will make the capital market to witness a lot of investments. And all things being equal, we are talking of FDIs coming into the country massively. A lot of activities will happen in that sector this year, all things being equal. That the capital market is projected to grow. Now some analysts even put it at about 190%, which is massive. It's going to be massive. It will create a lot of opportunities. Now, the last quarter of last year, the CBN embarked on the policy of disinflation. Disinflation by opening the tap a little bit on liquidity. That's for the banks, so that they will be able to create more money, give more money to people, and of course force interest rate to come down, which will impact on inflation. If that policy should continue, which I believe it will come, because they said they are going to continue with it this year, then that's another policy.
So we might see interest rate at a single
interest rate. I'm not talking of don't put words in my mouth so that you don't come and accuse me later. I'm not saying that, but a gradual improvement of interest rate coming down. Mark you, all things being equal. Again, from and if you come to, that's just two examples from the monetary side. Talking of the fiscal side, the Nigerian Tax Act of 2025 that started from 1st of January this year, and probably that's where my appeal will first of all go to the Nigerian public that look, we have to trust the government, because a lot of
because of our time. What will now be your advice to policy makers on what